All right, so today we're diving into the world of cyber warfare, and specifically, we're going to be looking at China's tactics. And it's pretty unnerving stuff. Forget about just stealing data. We're talking about those digital trapdoors hidden in the systems that, America relies on every single day. We're going to be talking about the Typhoon hacking groups. Have you heard about these?
Well, you see, for years, the focus has been mainly on espionage, stealing secrets to try and get ahead. But these typhoon groups, they're different. It's almost as if they're setting the stage to shut things down, cause real chaos out there in the real world. It's a real shift from just trying to, get a leg up to actively preparing for disruption. And I think that signals a much more aggressive stance in cyberspace.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. What makes these Typhoon groups so different?
Take Volt Typhoon as an example. They're not just going after, government secrets or anything like that. They're burrowing into the systems that control our critical infrastructure. I'm talking aviation, our water, our energy, you name it, all the things that keep this country running, right? What's really fascinating here is their laser focus on disruption rather than traditional espionage.
Yeah, it's like they're going for the off switch instead of just sort of peeking at our notes. Right?
Exactly. And they're patient. Microsoft actually uncovered Volt Typhoon's activities last year, back in 2023. But they may have been operating undetected for years. And here's the thing. They're specifically targeting outdated equipment. That stuff that doesn't receive security updates anymore, you know what I mean?
Exploiting those kind of forgotten vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Clever, but also pretty scary.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they're planting these digital time bombs that could, at any moment, disrupt power grids, throw air traffic control into chaos. I mean, the potential for widespread havoc, it's immense.
It really makes you think about those end-of-life notices you get on, like, your old phone or your old laptop.
Right.
It suddenly makes them seem a lot more significant.
Absolutely. I think we often overlook the vulnerability of these outdated systems.
Yeah.
But for groups like this, they offer an easy backdoor.
Didn't the U.S. government disrupt one of their botnets, though? It's going to count for something, right?
It does, but it's a temporary fix. Think of it like this. Disrupting a botnet is like taking down a single factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the operation, that continues elsewhere. This isn't about just one group or one attack. This is about understanding their capabilities and their intentions, which is even more important.
So what does it tell us about their intentions, then? What are they really after?
I think it's a clear indication that they're preparing for a future where cyber warfare, it isn't just talk. It's a very real threat.
Mm-hmm.
And by targeting these critical systems, they're essentially gaining the ability to, cripple essential services, holding a nation hostage from within, so to speak.
So Volt Typhoon, they're setting the stage for disruption. But what about these other groups? Like Flax Typhoon, for example. What makes them stand out?
Flax Typhoon, they're almost the opposite. They're all about deception. Imagine like a hacking group, right? But they're disguised as a cybersecurity company. That's Flax Typhoon.
Ooh, talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's seriously sneaky. How did they even pull that off?
They went all out. I mean, they created this seemingly legitimate company. Website, marketing materials, you name it. They even used this front to, get this, attend industry events, build relationships with, unsuspecting targets.
Wow.
All designed to mask their true purpose, which, according to U.S. intelligence, was to basically help conceal the activities of other Chinese government-backed hacking groups.
So they were like a digital smokescreen.
Yeah.
Providing cover for the real attackers. Clever, but man, that's audacious.
Oh, absolutely. And they weren't just hiding, They were busy building a massive botnet. We're talking a network of hundreds of thousands of infected devices, all controlled remotely.
So like hijack computers, phones, maybe even smart toasters, all working together without their owners even knowing. What were they doing with all that digital firepower?
They used this botnet to basically generate this deluge of what appeared to be normal internet traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine trying to spot their malicious activity within this vast sea of digital noise. It's like trying to find a single grain of sand on a beach, right?
Right.
This masking technique allowed them to operate undetected, infiltrating their targets, stealing data right under everyone's nose.
It's scary how vulnerable our everyday devices are. It makes you think twice about connecting, anything to the internet these days.
Absolutely. Now, Flax Typhoon, they primarily focus on organizations in Taiwan, but their activities really highlight this very real connection between, cyberspace and those real-world conflicts. This wasn't just about stealing data. It was about gaining a strategic advantage, especially in a region of vital importance to China.
So Volt Typhoon, they're laser focused on potential disruption. And Flax Typhoon, they're all about deception and espionage.
Precisely. Both representing, different facets of China's evolving cyber strategy, showcasing their increasing sophistication and, well, frankly, their willingness to push the boundaries in cyberspace.
Which brings us to Salt Typhoon. And to be honest, this one really has me concerned. They weren't content with just, hacking companies or government agencies. They went after the wiretap systems of major U.S. telecom providers, companies like AT&T and Verizon. This isn't just about stealing data anymore. This is about potentially listening in on our communications.
That's right. And with Salt Typhoon, we're talking about a whole new level of, audacity and a potential damage.
Right.
This is about access to court-ordered surveillance data, the kind of information that intelligence agencies rely on to, protect national security.
So they could, identify U.S. intelligence assets, ongoing investigations, even, the identities of people seeking asylum or speaking out against oppressive regimes. We're not just talking about data here. We're talking about putting lives at risk, right?
Exactly. The potential fallout from a breach like this, it's staggering. It could cripple intelligence gathering, erode trust in those institutions that we rely on, and, like you said, endanger individuals whose identities might be exposed. And what's even more alarming is, they may have been operating within these systems undetected for months, potentially just siphoning off the sensitive data the entire time.
Months? That's terrifying. It makes you wonder what we can even do to, protect ourselves against this level of sophistication. This feels like something out of a spy thriller, but with very real-world consequences.
It's a stark reminder that the digital and physical worlds, they're deeply intertwined. An attack in cyberspace can have very real, very devastating consequences in our everyday lives. But it's not about living in fear, right? It's about understanding the evolving nature of these threats and, adapting our defenses accordingly.
So where do we go from here then? What can be done to, counter this growing threat from groups like, we've got Volt, Flax, and Salt Typhoon?
It requires a multifaceted approach, I think. Strengthening our defenses is critical. We have to invest in more robust cybersecurity measures for essential infrastructure,
right?
Especially, those legacy systems that we talked about, the ones that are often overlooked. But it also demands we become more proactive in deterring such attacks in the first place, right?
You mean like sending a clear message that these actions won't be tolerated?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That involves a combination of things: diplomatic pressure, maybe economic sanctions, and perhaps, even cyber offensive capabilities to demonstrate that these actions have real consequences. But it also requires international cooperation. No single nation can tackle this alone. We need to work together to establish those clear norms of behavior in cyberspace and, of course, hold those who violate them accountable.
That's a tall order, but as we've seen today, the stakes are incredibly high. This has been, I have to say, this deep dive has been eye-opening, to say the least.
Indeed it has, and I think it's crucial to remember that this is an ongoing evolution. The more we understand these groups, their tactics, their motivations, the better equipped we'll be to counter their efforts in the future.
And listener, we're going to leave you with this thought. The next time you hear about a cyber attack, don't just scroll past it, right? Take a moment to consider the implications. Because, as we've learned today, what happens in cyberspace can have profound and far-reaching consequences for all of us.